Can you guys think of like your worst Thanksgiving moments, or like can you remember like a horrible holiday memory, since people are like all jacked up, like killing each other in grocery aisles right now, getting ready for this holiday season that's erupting all around us? Dave, you got like
Uh,
a
uh,
notorious memory?
yeah, I do actually. The worst thing is this was during the camcorder or recording camcorder era, so it was actually captured on VHS of
Oh.
me throwing up yams because I hated them so bad, and then being shamed for wasting food. Basically,
So you can
like you can watch me on
relive the
camera,
shame
like
every year, right? You can play back that video every year, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
planes, trains, automobiles, followed up by David crying at 8.
How old were you?
I don't know, between 6 and 8. I mean, I don't know, somewhere in that era.
Wow.
Not fun.
No.
What about you, Jordan? Do you have a funny story, or like think of something that sticks out?
Yeah, it was like the first time I tried to make Thanksgiving dinner, like not at home. So I did
Mm.
like turkey and everything. And I was pulling this pot out, or this like tray, and I put it in my sink. And I had a sink stopper at the time that had a suction cup. And so I didn't realize, and it was made out of silicone. I didn't realize it got stuck to the bottom of the pan. And then I put the same pan in the oven. So then I almost caught my apartment on fire once. But it gets worse. Is
Sorry.
that I like
Sorry for the laughter, but
well, and then it's like silicone fumes is like totally marinating my turkey. So that was really, really gross. And then I think I like went to go take it out, and I like dropped my like oven mitt like in the oven, like right on top of one of the coils. And so I didn't almost just burn my apartment down once. Like I almost burned my apartment down twice in like this same couple hour span, and the turkey tasted like shit. So it's just like it was not good. So not a complete fail, but almost a complete fail for first Thanksgiving without my family. What about you, John?
okay. So like sometimes like if a meal's planned, I can cook a holiday meal for a bunch of people, but it's like it's executing it like military style, right? Like how many people at what time?
Mm-hmm.
Are there allergies, right? So it's like, like things like that. But I remember one year like not planned an extended family member who didn't deserve to have me cook for them, because I remember like just like being so angry. But what's funny is, okay, there is a caveat here, because I've erased most of my horrendous holiday memories. I've done a great job of killing all holiday memories. I don't have very many. Like I think maybe I remember like having a holiday dinner with David one time, but then I specifically remember these two stories. So the first one is I had to create like a whole second dinner because somebody's oven went down. So I'm cooking for this family member who I don't like. I'm like, it's really hard to cook for people that you don't think deserve to eat your food.
Right.
However, the modern Thanksgiving is not the same as like the classic Thanksgiving, or even like, we won't even get into like the politics or the agenda or the holiday or what it means to different groups of people. It's just literally like, my modern take on it is everybody tries as hard as possible to eat a bunch of food, but also make sure that people around them have also food to eat that day, right? Like people go out of their way to eat, right? They should change the holiday to just like, this is food day, or this is like National Eat Day. Everybody eats today, no matter who they are. Anyway, so like cooking 2 meals. So it's like, that's 2 turkeys, whether we have 2 pans or not, like 2 sets of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's like an obnoxious thing in my family where they buy multiple turkeys, and I'm like, you need one turkey. You don't actually need multiple turkeys. It'd be easier to share like one decent turkey than to have like, your oven is like not even, right? Like every oven has like a hot spot and a cold spot, and like, so it's like, and technically the birds aren't the same bird. It's not like they were cloned. So you're like fighting with like getting them cooked.
Genetics and this
Right.
and that, and yeah,
Yeah, so what nobody
one's
could like
cooking.
could predict is like, how are we going to transport this thing in a giant pan with its drippings and its juices in a car to bring the second turkey to where it had its final destination, right? So that was bad. That was like, I wish I could erase that one. And you know what? You know what, folks? I'm drinking a holiday beverage right now, and if I take a couple sips of it, maybe that one will go away too.
Does it include wild turkey?
Oh crap! No, that's Matthew McConaughey's
Ooh.
favorite. But here's trivia,
Yes.
David. Matthew McConaughey's favorite brand of, I think he's invested in the company, is Wild Turkey. Um, Second story is, It's like a holiday meal, but it may not be Thanksgiving. It might be Christmas. You know how like people do like Italian food or like Chinese food or something on the other holiday because they're tired of like they're just getting over the turkey coma. You know, like
Right.
can't do another turkey. Although turkey enchiladas are like when you with the leftover bird is really good. But anyway, I digress. The story is this: cooking chicken parm, also for a family member, and like there's like a war movie on in the background with like Clint Eastwood or something, and like Kelly's Heroes is playing in the background while I'm cooking chicken parm, and then like some dude's wife goes like, "You've never made," he goes to the wife, he goes to the wife, "You've never made your chicken parm this good." I'm like, oh shit, man. Now I'm like in the middle of a couple's chicken parm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
unintentionally stirring the pot.
yeah. You know, yeah, exactly. And I just think I did attaboy, I just made some great chicken parm, but apparently it's gonna cause a divorce, like whatever. Moving on. Then my other friend Katrina was telling me a story about like she's gonna go have Thanksgiving this year with like her mutual friends like Michelle and Julie, but then like Julie's birthday falls around Thanksgiving, so they're like, oh, we're gonna celebrate Julie's birthday at the Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm like, time out. Like you can slowly build the recipe for disaster here like super easily. So first of all, probably not a good idea to celebrate a birthday on a Thanksgiving, right? Because in the holidays the events are competing for attention from everybody involved, and the expectations are different. But then it's like Michelle suggested that they put Julie's dead dog on her birthday cake and serve it at the Thanksgiving dinner. So now I had to pause to make sure that I received this information correctly from Katrina. It was like, all right, Kat, so you're telling me you're going to this mutual Thanksgiving, cool, you're going to visit some old friends, one's having a birthday, and then it's like, by the way, we put your dead dog Skippy on on a cake. Here's the turkey and here's the cake. Like, that to me is like a whirlwind of trouble, but it's a good comedy bit, right? Like it's like, David, do you think if I went to that party, like I would have to bring up the fact that they put somebody's dead dog on a cake? Like, do you think like, how do you not like address that in public when you're gathered at this dinner and surprised by like?
But the question I have is it a picture of the dead dog or is it like the taxidermied dead dog?
Oh, like this. He's like in the corner of the table by the cake. Like, no, it's not like that. Like a. I don't even know what they call those funerals. Like, they do this in like New Orleans or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where the dead person's like, Jordan, do you know about these funerals? Where the deceased is like the guest of honor. So they're just sitting there like frozen in time like this.
Oh, where they haven't like
you eat barbecue around them or something? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I don't.
That's an interesting funeral right there. I'm not opposed.
Yeah, so it's like a laser picture of the dog, Dave. You know how like you can stencil things on cake now? Have you seen?
Well, that's what I was trying to differentiate.
Jordan, have you seen what they're doing in cake icing these days? Like you can literally like put anything on like a cake.
Can you like 3D print with like frosting? Is that a
thing? Yeah. It looks like t-shirt printing. You know how like you can print these things and then your picture of you and your friends at freaking Disneyland or whatever, or like on the t-shirts. They do that now with like cake. You can get them to screen print like.
Can we just admit that it tastes horrible though? Like it just doesn't taste good.
Oh yeah, it's all chemicals.
Yeah.
It tastes horrible. It doesn't even taste like regular frosting. It's like the worst thing you could put on a cake. So not only is it a picture of your dead dog, it's going to actually taste fucking horrible and ruin your Thanksgiving. So, moving on from that. Okay. All right. Switching gears. And some home video headlines. I've learned that there's going to be an Escape from New York sequel with Kurt Russell from two sources, but then the third source actually disagrees and says it's his son Wyatt and it's going to be a reboot. Now, what's the slim chance that Jordan has seen Escape from New York?
Nope, but if Kurt Russell might be in it, let's go.
Yeah. So he plays this guy. This is one of his most like iconic characters, Snake Plissken, and he's done it in Escape from New York and Escape from LA. But in Escape from New York, it's like the future of 1981. And of course, New York is a state prison. The whole state is collapsed, and it's just now where the rest of the country sends all their prisoners. And then the president's plane is like flying overhead or something and crashes, and they're like, oh shit, the president of the United States, we gotta rescue his ass. So they send in this guy, Snake Plissken, who's already like on death row, He's got one eye and an eye patch.
Hmm.
And they're like, we stuck a bomb in your neck. Go save him in a day or we're going to blow you up. And then, like, then you see, like, then the clock starts counting, right? And it's like a fast movie. So you're like, oh, he's got 90 minutes, like, in real time to, like, go find the president or whatever.
So not sexy Santa version of Kurt Russell.
No, he's not playing his saxophone. He's not singing about the holidays. He's murdering and people are trying to murder him. And, yeah.
Although I guess the sexy part would be dependent on your version. I mean, a lot of women find this Kurt Russell sexy.
I'm in.
One eye, scruffy beard, you know.
We'll give it a try.
Dave, just admit that you're pausing it, chiseled Kurt Russell running down these wet streets of New York in the middle of the night.
Hey, look, I'm not hiding anything. Like, if I could time travel to 1981, I mean, and it could happen, I'm just saying he can get it. That's all I'm saying.
Kurt Russell, baby.
Wait, John, are you telling me that if Kurt Russell comes and just sees you out of the corner
no,
of his eye,
don't try to put me in the Brad Pitt box, all right? I've heard this before, all right? Don't try to lock me in to the scenario, David.
I'm just saying, if you look you dead in the face and said, you, me.
All I can give you is the answer from
John
Oscar on The Office when Ed Helms asked about the Brad Pitt question. He's like, well, I do have this one reoccurring dream where Brad Pitt shows up. So, Oscar's answer is, oh, you might be gay. All right. Do you guys know the Streets of Rage video game?
Was that
This is like going back to the days of Super Nintendo.
Is that like
and like Sega and like arcades? So
nah.
It's a little bit like Escape from New York, actually, because that's literally what it is. Like, you're fighting through the streets of rage to get to a boss called Mr. X. However, it's exactly like another game that I love called Final Fight, which in Final Fight, you can play as the mayor, you strap dynamite to your chest, you go into the streets of rage in that game, and you fight your way through a bunch of gangbangers, and like then you save the city. They supposedly were developed at the same time, but I would rather have a Final Fight movie as opposed to a Streets of Rage movie. And notoriously, every video game movie, we've talked about this on the show, like, besides Sonic the Hedgehog for kids and Resident Evil for kids and adults, the video game adaptations have, like, notoriously, like, just failed. I don't know, but people are coming around. People now, like, love the live-action Mario. You know this, Dave? They've come around to really like.
I mean, I know it's got a cult following, but like nobody thinks of it as genuinely good.
Well, there's gonna be a new Mario that's coming out soon. That's got
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt pratting it up as Mario.
Honestly, did not know there was a live action Mario.
Oh man, you gotta Google this. This is like internet meme status to the. Yeah, you gotta look this up.
It's awful. Like even
92.
That might be the very first movie, even as a kid, where I'm like, this is pretty bad. Like, because, like, there's that magic age when you're a kid where every movie is great.
Right.
Then you turn a corner and like, oh, wait, movies can be bad sometimes.
Movies can just be bad. Like,
and that was
not
Super
even
Mario
good bad,
for me.
just bad.
Yeah.
You guys know who Gamera is?
Gamera? He's like the flying turtle.
He's like a Godzilla, but he's a turtle. He's a giant freaking turtle. And of course, in his first kaiju movie, he's like a bad guy. But then, like, starts saving people in the sequels. I guess Netflix is going to nab him up and make like another Gamera, which is cool because I've always loved this giant turtle movie. Accidentally saw it just like cruising through the channels back in the day. And it's going to be pretty cool if they do like another movie. Speaking of movies, we're going to talk about a movie tonight called Nobody's Fool. It's got Paul Newman. It's a story about Sully Sullivan. I don't even know his name was Donald because in the movie it's just like Sully.
Sully, yeah.
Uh-oh. There's an airplane.
This is not my apartment. I can't
okay.
help it. I'm like, I gotta make a soundproof box or something. Okay. Let me know if
all right, the plane's gone. So Sully Sullivan, he's an expert at avoiding adult responsibilities. At 60, he divides all his time between a local bar and the occasional construction job. When his estranged son Peter arrives in town, oh, that's Dylan Walsh. He brings a son of his own and a sob story about his failed marriage. Sully finds himself assuming the roles of both father and grandfather, and after a life of unchecked self-indulgence, he wonders if he's up to the task. Wow, I was about ready to say what kind of movie it was. David, what are your details about Nobody's Fool?
All right, so This the director of this, Robert Benton, certainly likes to work with actors a lot. He worked with Bruce Willis twice before this on Nadine and Billy Bathgate, and would go on to work with Paul Newman in 1998's Twilight, which is also based on a novel by Nobody's Fool author Richard Russo. This movie was nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Paul Newman as actor and Robert Benton for Best Adapted Screenplay. I was almost worried that one of us might have watched the wrong movie when I looked this up on Roku. There was a 2018 Nobody's Fool, and I looked this up. There's been a total of 5 movies named Nobody's Fool going back to the silent era in 1921 and up to 2018 with one from Tyler Perry. And one of them was from 1986 and starred one of recent stars of our movies, Eric Roberts. So we could have watched an Eric Roberts Nobody's Fool. This was the final film performance for Jessica Tandy, and it was dedicated to her. And something I found interesting, Bruce Willis took a substantial pay cut to work on this movie, only earning the SAG standard of $1,400 a week, when at the time he was currently making about $15 million a movie. So I guess
he must have done it to work with maybe Tandy and Paul Newman, right?
I mean, yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah, dude. You got to make an artistic choice, right?
Yeah. That was the era when I think he was mixing it up, trying to do some dramatic work as well. Why not work with Paul Newman and Jessica Tandy? So yeah, that's some facts.
That was over and done with rather quickly. All right.
I can talk slower next time, but I don't.
No, it's all right.
Like that.
Before we go to our favorite bits, we got at least one message to go to. So we can spread the gift of music this holiday season. This is how we're going to do it. New subscribers who purchase an eligible Echo device can enjoy 6 months of a free trial of Amazon Music Unlimited. There's a link in our podcast notes. The offer is going to end on January 10th. Share it with everybody that you know and get them hooked up with if they get an Echo, they get 6 months of free music. There you go. David's already on it.
Yeah. Free music. What's not to like?
I actually have a couple Echoes.
It's a lot of free music, so yeah.
With a million Christmas songs, just like a million Christmas movies on Hallmark.
You sold me.
Oh man,
nice. Effective ads every night on this podcast. Okay.
I actually looked that up. Hallmark has premiered 40 movies over this holiday season, or are going to premiere.
I wonder what the record is. Maybe 50
I don't know.
Or something.
That's a lot of Christmas movies in
that
one
is
season.
For a premiere too, right?
For one, those are all brand new.
That's wild. But I'm here for it. I just love me a good cheesy, not top tier.
Hear about Unicorn Christmas?
No.
Yeah, that's coming this year. Anytime, any day now.
See, I'm looking forward to a Royal Corgi Christmas.
Oh no.
Dogs and Christmas, why not?
That's another one. That's another title. That's
literally a movie that's coming out this season of a Royal Corgi Christmas.
I was trying to conceptualize what the storyline would be, and it's all of the huskies or those winter dogs can't pull the sleigh, so they have to get a bunch of corgis to pull a sleigh for I don't know what reason.
That sounds so much better than what it actually is about.
There's got to be a dark story behind why they have such short legs, though. I'm sure
horrible breeding.
Some kind of interbreeding or outbreeding or they did something.
I think they're bred to be to go after
to fit inside of a mailbox.
Yeah,
they have no legs. I don't even know if can they run?
Yes, they can run.
Are you sure, David?
Yes, I have a.
You ever seen a corgi run?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
I've met many corgis.
I believe you. We have a corgi.
My dog is half corgi.
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard about his corgi love, so I don't believe it.
I believe you, Dave.
Thanks. Thank you. Somebody does.
Is it time for the bits?
Yeah, lead us into the bits. Favorite bits, everybody, from Nobody's Fool.
I loved when... Okay, so Rub, who is technically Sully's friend, he works with Sully doing the construction, when he's super upset with Sully about his son. So he leaves and he's walking away from the construction site. And so Sully and his son follow him in the truck. And they're on the sidewalk because Sully is obviously a he's a wild guy. You know, he loves to break the rules to prove a point. And the police officer, Officer Raymer pulls over in the police car and prevents Sully from following Rub. And I love that Sully just like knocks him out.
Oh yeah, because the cop finally shoots at him.
Yeah, the cop
Yeah.
shoots at him, and it's just like, I don't know, obviously crossing a line, but it's just kind of funny because obviously the officer like is trying to stand up to him, and he clearly seems to run the town and everybody in it. So I don't know. It was kind of funny to watch him try to be, standing up to Sully, and then Sully not caring at all and then having to go to jail for it. And it kind of is the like one domino that leads to a lot, but that was kind of my favorite bit. I just thought it was good. I don't know. What about you, Dave?
This was kind of hard to choose because this is one of those movies that has a lot of little moments, or just like every character has like their own little moment to shine or what have you. Like I think what you just mentioned was probably like the biggest, most grandiose moment in the movie. Like, he takes out a cop. But like a couple little moments I liked is there's a thing, talking about bad Thanksgivings. There's one going pretty bad. There's a son named Whacker because he's a little piece of crap and it hits people around.
He's not a piece of crap. He just like
they never address. Look, the kid may have have some problems, but they never address it.
So pre-podcast, Dave was talking about having kids later in life, and now he's like, "There's this kid in here. What a little bastard."
Well,
I don't know. I kind of I feel like the same with you. I'm like, clearly his.
So they're called antecedents. Like if a kid does a behavior, you have to look for like the root cause. Like maybe being ignored by both parents.
But look, all I'm saying is like
until he acts out, then he gets rewarded. See, he gets negative rewards.
They never addressed it, or like you just said, negative rewards are whatever. Look, long story short, whether it's the parents or the kid is pure evil, the kid was a piece of crap. I'll put it on the parents because they were clearly having problems. But in any case, Whacker.
Well, the son story is masking what happens to Sully, right? Like, Sully had a divorce. He's, disassociated from the family, and like the son's about to like go literally down the same path.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie about like, hey, learn from past mistakes. Don't screw up your future generation. And, so there's definitely that.
Spoiler alert, it takes the whole movie to learn from these mistakes.
But in any case, the Thanksgiving from Hell, Little Whacker and the other brother, Will, are competing to piss in the toilet instead of like waiting one after the other, or realizing, hey, you're both little kids and you can piss in the same bowl at the same time. But in any case, Whacker keeps pushing Will out of the way, and Will's like, you better stop it. I'm gonna teach you a lesson, and sure enough, closes the lid on his dick. At least they didn't show it. There was no close-up, but you got it. And he runs off crying, and I don't know. I didn't expect that.
Scrambled his little huevos.
So that gave me a big laugh. The other thing that made me that I really liked, it's just a small moment, nothing big, but Sully and his lawyer are hanging out at the local bar, and they're watching People's Court of all things, and they're like taking bets on it. Like instead of sports, they're betting on People's Court. I don't know. There's just something about that kind of tickled me. Like that'd be my kind of style of betting because I do like some People's Court daytime shows. So I don't know. What about you, John?
Okay. So it's hard to divide this movie in terms of favorite bits because like you don't want to piecemeal the movie because I think like every scene is pretty good. Yeah. The movie is really good. And so I can say like my favorite sequences or scenes that kind of move into other scenes are like when the son arrives. At first I thought this was the scene that Jordan was going to talk about, but she ended up talking about a different scene. So his truck breaks down when he fills it with too many cinder blocks because he takes a shitty side job from his usual contractor played by Bruce Willis, as Dave mentioned earlier. That's who gives him all his gigs, but he actually owes him money right now. And they're like arguing about like getting paid on the old job, but he can't afford not to take the new jobs. So he's like moving debris from one site to a waste facility or I don't know, the dump or whatever. And he gets too zealous and like overloads the weight of the truck so it pops his tires. Plus he has like a bum knee from the last job he didn't get paid for or whatever. So he's like hiking down the highway and it's his son that stops to pick him up. And then that's when we get, to meet the boys Will and Whacker, which is Dave's favorite in the movie, and as we learned a few seconds ago. And the other sequence I like is at the diner where he's like helping the waitress's mom who has like dementia or something get safely from just like walking through this cold streets in like pajamas to the diner to inform the waitress that her mom is having a problem. But then he's so familiar with the diner, he puts on an apron, is like passing out food and ketchup to the patrons while arguing with his landlord's son. And I'm like, what a well orchestrated like sequence of events, you know?
Mhm.
So all around, even Melanie Griffith's in the movie. We haven't mentioned her yet.
Yeah.
She plays the wife who's getting cheated on by the construction supervisor, and it's like a reoccurring thing because it's like a will they won't they between Sully and the wife, you know. Till they realize it's way out of bounds for both of them, and I don't want to ruin the movie. Like I just think like you should probably watch the movie. Which brings us to ratings. We sometimes say binge now, binge later, or binge never. It's back to you, Jordan.
I kick us off. I would say binge now. This seems like one of the movies that my mom would watch that I'd probably like walk in on as a younger person and like want to change the TV to something that I would watch, but I would probably sit down and then like get sucked in, and then 15 minutes later I'm like completely enthralled in. And so definitely a binge now is just a really good classic to watch. So what about you, Dave?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a binge now. I like these types of movies, these little I don't know what you call it, slice of life movies. Like there's nothing big at stake, but like a lot of personal relationships at stake, if you will. I don't know, just it's also just one of those movies that's well written, well acted, just the right actors for the right parts. Yeah, I mean, getting to sound old, like you just don't see like little small movies like this that much anymore. So yeah, binge now. John.
So okay, it's a binge now if it's seasonal. Like if it's at a certain time of the year. In the United States, it'd be like fall time. It's like September, October, November, getting you through the holidays. Perfect time to watch this movie. And in fact, I think like some of the scenes take place during a Thanksgiving. And so like one of our fans, gosh, is it Matt? Mark. Oh, one of our fans named Mark. Mark said, "Hey, are you guys gonna do like a holiday playlist or come up with like a Thanksgiving week?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, actually, we're considering watching this Paul Newman movie, and like, it technically qualifies as a Thanksgiving movie, right? I mean,
I
like,
think so. I mean, a scene. In fact, the scene I was mentioning with
yeah, it
Wagner
happens at
takes
the
place
Thanksgiving
on
meal.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I think it leads almost all the way up to Christmas too, does it not?
yeah,
I
that's
can't
right. It
I
goes to
think New
remember.
Christmas
Year's
Eve
Eve,
or whatever with
maybe.
the
Yeah.
poker game. Yeah, yeah.
So
And
definitely a
that,
holiday
yeah,
movie.
I didn't spoil this movie. I don't think I said anything like out of bounds. So the rest of the year, I think it's like a binge later, like get around to it. It's a great movie. Like this, if you're trying to like watch what's a hidden gem for Paul Newman, like this is up there because everybody sees Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. A lot of people will see The Sting. What's that one with the pool player in jail? The Hustler.
The Hustler, and then Color of Money.
Oh, and Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, Cool Hand Luke.
Cool Hand
They'll see
Luke.
that. They'll see that stuff. There's another one where he's a race car driver, I think, and you'll see these handful of movies. Like, okay, that's Paul Newman, and then like, no, man, like, go find this other movie called Nobody's Fool. You know, point you in that direction. I was gonna shame Jordan with all these things that she hasn't seen that she should have seen by now. Clearly, classic American media, but something came to light and recently, just chit chatting with Dave and getting ready for this podcast. Dave hasn't seen Malcolm X, Scent of a Woman, Chaplin. I don't know who this guy is anymore. Like, I thought I knew who David was. I can't believe David hasn't seen a handful of these classics.
Well, as we were talking earlier, I guess that just means in 1992 nobody let me choose anything at the video store.
So many more screenings for us to all be shameful on. So enough shame to go around for us all.
No, I got a lot of shame in what I haven't
No.
watched.
I can't think of the titles. Have you guys ever caught me having not watched a movie?
Yeah. But I don't have any to shoot off right now.
All right. Come back to me next week. Fan service. We got messages from the fans. Oh, which one should I go to? Oh, the one I pointed out. Now I forgot what it was. I sent it to you guys. Jordan, you brought up freaking. We were talking about Below Decks.
Yeah.
the other week? Yeah, so you like one of the captains, and somebody shot back like, "Oh, Captain so and such."
Captain Lee is
Oh,
one of our fans' freaking
well,
great uncle.
talk about family strife at Thanksgiving parties. She said the fame's really gone to her uncle's head. This fan shot back that like that was her uncle or whatever. No confirmation, but like kind of funny. The timing of everything.
I'm a
And
giant
who's
fan
the
of
girl?
Captain
Who's
Lee.
the girl with the captain? Does he have like a wife or something?
No, he's got like a bunch of, chief stewardesses. So, or chief stews is what they call them.
Sure.
But they
Sure.
rotate a little bit. So,
I bet. One date and then you're off the boat.
one bad date.
International waters.
So, yeah.
That's a little dark for a holiday episode. Sorry, folks.
It's kind of funny though. Some people do get escorted like literally straight off the boat. So,
Well, like they have like boat security?
they literally get a dinghy and just take them away. Yeah. Yeah, Captain
So
Lee
they get
takes
the
his
little
stuff
inflatable and
and
they like send them off the boat. It's like all dramatic, and you just see them like
yeah.
right away into the sunset.
One of them was this lady like got way too hammered and he was like, nobody goes into the water at night, and she did not listen. And so it was
Have you
like
guys ever taken a cruise ship? Have you ever been on a cruise like the show?
not like a cruise or a yacht, no, but I've been on a bigger boat, I guess.
Oh, the other fan service is. Let me look this up. And I have a good answer for this, but I was kind of bitching when I got asked this question. But maybe Dave can chime in on this one. Like why we don't watch these super popular movies, or like. Let me see if I can find the message. Hold on. Lots of messages. Oh, okay. Oh, he's asking like, "Hey, why don't you guys talk about station wagon movies?" And then he goes, "Isn't that a good topic for binge watchers?" I said, "Yeah, maybe." And then he goes, "What about adventures in binge watching? Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Harry and the Hendersons, National Lampoon's Vacation." I feel like we've offhandedly mentioned those titles several times over the course of many episodes. But
doesn't mean we couldn't, but I mean those are
okay, but individually, only Harry and the Hendersons like our like show model. Harry and the Hendersons like fits the themes of the show. The other ones are so popular that like there's got to be like 10,000 reviews of like Beetlejuice online, or like 10,000 reviews of like maybe not Adventures in Babysitting. Jordan, have you seen Adventures in Babysitting?
No. But I did mention like a ton of those Tim Burton flicks as one of my staff picks, like what we like to watch during the holidays, like 2 episodes ago. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it feels like if it's a Universal movie like that's a binge now universally, it just seems like it's not necessarily worth doing because we already know where we stand on it. Like Ghostbusters, binge now. Okay, great. Beetlejuice, binge now. I mean, I love Beetlejuice, but like it'd just be as glowing over it for 20 minutes or whatever, versus something like this where we're kind of taking a shot. Like John didn't know if me and Jordan were gonna like it. It turned out we did.
Yeah, taking some movie risks here. Try to get our hearts broken on a podcast.
That's like kind of the cool thing about me is that I get to watch these movies that I would like never pick out of a lineup, but it's like I watch Beetlejuice every year for Halloween and all the Tim Burton movies. And so it's like, yeah, there's not a lot of juice you can squeeze out of that, you know what I'm saying? So, but those are classics for a reason.
Oh yeah.
So if you're listening out there, we talked about those movies now, officially. We'll give you some staff picks though. I'm sure if Jordan or Dave or myself has watched anything else we can recommend outside of the movie of the week. Jordan, you got some things you've been watching?
Yes, I watched Stutz today, and
how is that? I mean, you're gonna tell us.
So good. I was obviously sobbing because we all know I'm a crier, but it just was so good. It's a movie about Jonah Hill, and he's making the movie about his therapist, and so they just go over obviously some tools that he's learned throughout his sessions. But what I thought was really cool is that like you get 15 minutes into the movie, and then he kind of like pauses because he's having this revelation about filming it, and he was like, I just feel like I think and what it, I'm gathering from the movie is that he felt it was a little disingenuous to keep filming it in a way where he's like wearing this wig because that's what his hair looked like 8 months ago when they were filming these sessions, and they're wearing the same clothes every single time that they're doing these sessions. And they still kind of wear and do those things, but it was just like pausing to like recognize that like the way that he was filming this movie wasn't coming out the way he wanted, because the whole purpose is to like be vulnerable and to like confront some of these things that are coming up in the film. And so
So Jonah Hill was like trying to engineer the documentary rather than let the documentary happen and be like organic therapy session.
Exactly. And so like they definitely talk about some really cool things that I think are applicable to everybody who, in life. So
what's funny? It reminds me of like the pamphlet that Scientology hands out. So I'd be like, this is the Scientology of therapy. However, Scientology doesn't believe in therapy, so connecting the two is not helpful. And like, I'm not saying they're connected, but this guy develops his own method, and it sounds like, the 2-page thing that like Scientology hands you,
well,
have
they're
you ever
not like methods that I think he creates, but I think they are methods that he uses in his therapy. But what I think is interesting that he does is that he creates these illustrations to be able to like conceptualize the things that they're talking about in the sessions, and he gives them to his patients. And then to layer that, he has Parkinson's, so it's like his drawings and like his writing, and then also like some of the situations that the therapist has personally gone through his life are related obviously to his illness.
The doctor's interesting individual for sure. However, it's like he wants Jonah Hill to ask like really poignant questions about Jonah Hill and Jonah Hill's decisions, but then it's like, oh, you're asking an actor to like turn inward when their whole thing is they have a job that employs them to pretend to be other people because they don't always want to look inside because they're not going to like what they see every time they look inside. And like there was at one point where like, he asked him about his mom, and he has like a little breakdown. And
well,
like, oh damn.
Couple times, and I thought it was interesting that he would not go further into the therapy because he was like, this movie isn't about me, it's about you. But it's also like about the therapy, so he kind of like has to go through that door, like step.
It's kind of heavy. I mean, I didn't finish it. I just watched like maybe a half hour, 40 minutes. I didn't watch the whole thing yet.
I thought it was excellent. I love the therapist. I love Phil Stutz. I thought he was just such a cute guy. I think he had some great.
It's not going to make you feel good. It's definitely not on the feel good.
Are you kidding me? It was, I don't know. I guess maybe I kind of associate crying with like feel goods. Like it's kind of cathartic.
It is.
Like,
it's
you release these emotions, and I think that's like, but that's the thing about life is that like you can't get the good without the bad. And like although it is sad and there's some heaviness, there's obviously these lessons to be learned, because that's like the whole point of the therapy sessions is like you cannot enjoy life unless you also kind of embrace the bad. So I thought it was a feel good. So
well, you might have just sold it. It's on my list. You might have like convinced me to watch it in the next day or two.
It was so good. I hope you like it. So
yeah, I've been looking forward to that since it popped up, but I haven't had I don't know. It just feels like because it does feel so heavy, it doesn't feel like every time I've been wanting to watch something, I'm like, not right now. Like it just doesn't feel like the right time for that movie, but you might have convinced me. I actually watched quite a few things this week. Some things really awful, some things really good, but to try to stick with the feel good, I will stick with the feel good choice of what I watched. That was good. I watched a new movie on Apple Plus called Causeway. It's with Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry, I think. He's been on a ton of things like Atlanta.
Is this where he gets locked out of his house?
No. I don't know what that is, but now you got me interested in whatever that might be.
There's a movie where he's like locked out of his like brownstone or
no, this is not that. I'll have to look into whatever
New York,
that is.
Whatever.
But no, this is a kind of like along the lines of Nobody's Fool in the sense that it's just a very simple story. Jennifer Lawrence is a war vet. She just got back from Afghanistan. She was, part of got exploded in a convoy. So the beginning 15 minutes or so is her recovery and her learning to walk again, learn to speak again, that kind of thing. She moves back home, and lives with her mom, who's a complete, just terrible mother. You find out piecemeal, like, stuff wasn't great growing up. Her brother turned to drugs. And at some point her car breaks down and in front of a shop, luckily. And she just kind of starts this friendship with Brian Tyree Henry. You don't think, they just seem to make an unlikely pair. And for the most part, the movie makes it non-romantic, which was nice. They did slip a little of that in there. It becomes part of the conflict of the movie. But it's just a very simple story about, like, as you find out through the movie, of like two wounded people that just really need a friend. Nothing romantic, but they just need a connection of some kind to, like, ease their pain and their stress and their awful life experiences. It's just one of those sweet movies where just two unlikely people build a friendship and you just kind of hang on to that. But yeah, Causeway, it's on Apple. John, what have you been watching?
I didn't watch anything sappy or redeeming or feel-goodery. I went back and watched all 5 of the current existing Pirates of the Caribbean movies on Disney Plus as like a 2-day sprint. I started like Friday, finished Sunday morning or something like that. Was watching them like 2 at a time. And, I thought when the second one came out that the octopus face on Davy Jones, played by Bill Nighy, like, looked like shit. But now, having rewatched these, like, actually, the CGI holds up. The animated monsters look good. It blends well with the actual real stuff that's physically there. Like, when they're really on the water and the real boats versus the CGI boats, etc. I'm like, why did they do so good 10 years ago? And, like, Marvel movies are sucking now. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there was, like, less competition for visual effects. And maybe
I think that's genuinely it. I mean, when you think about it, like, there's only maybe 2 or 3, maybe 5 big special effects movies a year. Now there's like 5 a month.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the main story wraps up like in the first 3 movies, but then they revisit part of it in the 5th movie. They redeem basically every character along the way, and like every famous pirate's there. Like Blackbeard's the Blackbeard, no, Blackbeard is the villain in like number 4, and then like it's Davy Jones in like 2 and 3. The first movie is just is a character they created called Barbarossa, played by well, that's the thing. It's like every great British actor in the 90s is in this.
Jeffrey
right?
Rush.
Yeah, Jeffrey Rush. And it's like Johnny Depp at his best, right? Like he loves this character, Jack Sparrow. And so you see like Jack Sparrow's adventures over like 5 movies. It's pretty good. I am sad that we're not going to do Margaret. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I've just been thinking about them a lot because obviously watching Lord of the Rings and seeing Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
And, Lord of the Rings, and then like thinking about him and Pirates. And I'm like, why doesn't he do more movies? Like, I don't know. I just think Legolas is like a cool character. And then he like does the pirates and stuff. Like, what else is he in outside of those? I don't really know.
He's busy being Mrs. Kate or Mr. Katy Perry. So
could be dope. Yeah, being a father.
You're right. He doesn't pop up that often, but he still. I think he's kind of hit that direct-to-video route now, or something like that. I know he was on a TV show on Amazon. I think it was Carnival Row. You watched that, didn't you, John?
Oh, yeah. That movie's that show's cool because you get to see fairies have sex.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally his claim to fame. Like, hey. Have you ever imagined what it'd be like if realistic fairies were banging dudes? Check out this show. I mean, I can't sell it any better than that.
I mean, I don't know. I might have to start watching that.
Yeah, I was like,
so you're gonna go watch a therapy documentary? You're gonna go watch fairies hooking up with each other? What are you gonna do, Dave?
Probably. I don't know. In my personal opinion, I'd be like, yeah, the fairies. Like, who needs to watch a cute little therapist guy talk about his?
I don't know. I'm probably more on the therapist side. I'm like, I don't know. I might need a good cry or a purge, as I like to call it.
It was so good.
I've been stamping down all these emotions.
I think I forgot to play the theme song. Oops.
All right.
So I guess no music. Happy holidays. Stick around, folks, because pretty soon we're gonna be watching like a movie with an axe wielding Santa Claus, and it's not the one that everybody's probably thinking of. So yeah, tune in for that.